Hello, welcome to Theodore Skirblog, that is me, reads you a short story. Today's story is dedicated to my brother Ron, up there in Washington State, who I'm thinking about all the time. This is called The Invisible Pitcher. Doc Ellis, a 1970s pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, wrote himself into the history books and legend by pitching a no-hitter while high on LSD. When I was a kid, this was taken as more myth than truth, but he actually did it, and it's been well documented and written about. But what people don't talk about so much is that 20 years earlier, in the late 1940s, the Pirates had a pitcher named Mo Blevins, who it was said blinked completely out of existence for a millisecond right before releasing the ball towards the plate. My grandfather confirmed this, though my uncles and relatives told him he was crazy. They'd argue about it some evenings after dinner when the cigars came out. You'd think something so phenomenal would be easy to spot and verify. But just the opposite was true. If you were watching TV, such that it was in 1947, you'd see all kinds of lines and glitches during the broadcast. When Blevins threw his pitch, you might have seen a brief distortion, a bunch of static for a second, until the picture resolved itself. Unfortunately, video recordings were not in use this early in television, but even if you were in attendance at the game, you couldn't quite be sure if you saw it or not. People began keeping a strict eye on Blevins, and many, like my grandfather, swear they saw it happen. But most of the time, there was sun in your eye or a sudden puff of dust, and if you blinked, you missed it. What wasn't in doubt, though, was what a fearsome and effective closer Blevins had become. It was like he couldn't miss the strike zone, nor be hit by any player of any caliber. And batters constantly complained of being blinded or disoriented when Blevins threw the ball. A team from Carnegie Tech eventually sent some grad students over, armed with oscillators and fancy atmospheric detectors, to take a full array of readings. Local papers stayed away from the story, but the Baseball Digest wrote about it kind of jokingly and reported the results as making about as much sense as ghost hunter shows do today. And what of Mr. Blevins himself? All I could find were some ancient microfiche at the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh that archived an interview he had given the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette in 1948. He talked about teaching himself how to pitch. He claimed to have never faced a live hitter in his life until he hit the big leagues. I threw the ball to targets only, he said, never a real person, over and over again, days and days, years and years. I learned how to throw the ball anywhere that way. No distractions. I saw nothing. Of course, the next page of the microfiche was missing. In 1949, Mo Blevins does not appear on the Pirates roster, nor for any other baseball team, for that matter. I thought, of course he'd disappear like that. I was disappointed. I guess I expected more intrigue or mystery, a vortex opening up, a UFO landing, but just disappearing, not so creative an exit for a pitcher who often wasn't there at all. Thanks so much for listening.